Hello and welcome to another Nordic Takedown podcast video here on YouTube this time. I'm so humble and I'm bringing this video to you guys here pretty fresh after becoming the champion, Vini Vidi Vici, over the TTI online tournament hosted by Take the Initiative group, and it is the season 8 tournament, which is the first one with Twilight of the Republic. Spoiler alert, I won the tournament. I think it is the biggest online tournament, unless there is some hidden tournaments behind in some Discord groups and stuff like that. But around somewhere between 70 to 100 people are competing every season. It was a top 16 this time. So without further ado, I will go in a little bit about the run, the deck choice, and see where we land. So I went with Sabine, and like before I talk about the deck completely, this was the deck list was supposed to be in, I think, like the same weekend as the pre-releases, and I had not been playing a lot or even thinking a lot about the decks. So like an easy choice for me was to pick a deck that was really good in set 2. So I went back on Sabine. I didn't want to go Boba, which was good because Boba got suspended, and then you would have to change deck in mid tournament and stuff like that. So I'm pretty happy I went with Sabine. I made a few changes. I added in Admiral Yularen that I just keep calling Colonel Yularen. But Admiral Yularen went in to Aayla Secura and of course Jyn Erso to stabilize a little bit. So I have a little bit more high end in this Sabine list than in previous ones, since you don't have the Aayla Secura in those. And I had already removed Freedom Fighters. I know that other people are high on it, but I played with the Mandalorian Peace Guards, Sundari Peacekeepers before. So I cut those 3 mostly and got in the Yularen and Aayla. Ketsu Onyu went out for Jyn Erso, mostly because Jyn Erso is Rebel, so it's going to be easier to trigger Wing Leader or Fleet Lieutenant on that. Otherwise, the list is pretty standard. And I have a few less medal ceremonies than other people, and that could be argued here and there, obviously. But let's talk about the run a little bit. In my first, in the top 16 game, I played against another Sabine. It was pretty popular in the beginning, thinking that Sabine Yellow was going to be a very good deck. We saw here in Birmingham that Sabine Yellow made a top 8 in that over 200 people tournament, so it definitely has some legs. I am not sure if it looks exactly like this, because once again, this was early stage for everyone, so they just submitted decks quick. You can see that it's not many cards here, if any, that are from the new set. So it plays basically like the old Sabine Yellow. You really want to go face, and Sabine Yellow was always favored into Sabine ECL. But with the introduction of Poe and Wrecker, I think that matchup became a lot closer. This game is not out on any, it wasn't recorded, which means I couldn't go back and watch really how it went and what was the defining factors. But it was a 2-0 victory, and it wasn't super nervy. I remember, I think I had some good draws, and what would you say in this matchup? This one was supposed to be like a nail biter in a way because of the sneak attacks and stuff like that. He didn't really draw his stuff, if I remember correctly, and couldn't really punish things. And I think Sabine ECL is just a better deck, in my opinion. Poe and Wrecker with ECL is just too powerful. But I can see that Sabine Yellow is better in some certain other matchups, maybe when you need to squeeze out the last damage with some sneak attacks and stuff like that. But that was a 2-0. Then since we played pretty late, I knew that if I was gonna win, I was gonna go up against a Maul. Maul EZL, obviously, a new deck. Here he is definitely using a new card. It's Maul himself. And then 3 Darth Mauls in this deck, and Huang, which is a really, really good card. And this deck makes a lot of sense. It's like the boss green, Vader green from set 1, and boss green from set 2. That goes green ramp into big stuff. But that has also always been very weak to Sabine, EZL. And it was this time as well. I think he played it as good as he could. The games are out on YouTube, on like the Take the Initiative channel. And he played it as good as he could, but the matchup is atrocious. Maul's ability doesn't do anything in this matchup, in my opinion. And the high end of Krayt Dragon, Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, and Maul, and Kylo Ren doesn't really help in this matchup. It didn't help him that he had the 1 Force Choke and 3 Open Fires in the sideboard. If they were main deck, maybe he would have a higher chance. Obviously, his game 2 became like a higher win chance because he added them in with Huang and another Salacious Crumb. So he played it well, and like I won basically because it was a good matchup. I did not need to outplay or anything like that. It's just like Maul's nightmare, and it was unfortunate for Gamaier that he had to face off against me. So I wouldn't say there was definitely not necessarily any skill gap in this matchup. It's a matchup gap. So in the semifinals, I ran into Night Sparkle or Swamp Party of the Palpatine Blue, or Chancellor Palpatine Blue, playing both sides. So this is an early draft as well, of course, since it wasn't new in the deck, new set. But because you can see there is very few villain cards, well, very few, but quite a few villain cards, especially early. So I'm not sure if the balance is correct here, and I know that he said that this is not what the list looks like now. This was a list where, when I was talking about it on the podcast, I said this was going to take a long time before you can really nail down a Chancellor Palpatine list that is really, really the perfection of it, because like having to navigate between both sides, which cards, how many of this cost on that side, that is going to take a while. So it's pretty impressive that he built this so early on and managed to get to the semifinals. This became pretty close in a way. It was 2-1. The one game that he won, he completely smashed me. He actually got to flip every turn. It was not even close. The other 2 games where I got more control, of the board, in a sense, he had trouble with flipping, and that made him a lot weaker. So once again, this one has a lot of high end, just as the Maul deck has, which is very good for Sabine. Obviously, this one has good plays like Village Protector, Lieutenant Childs, and Conquer Dawn, Millennium Falcon are all good. Power of the Dark Side is always good. But in the end, because my Sabine was more, I would say it's more refined. It's even though I didn't put that much thought behind like the new additions, it was refined since set 1 and 2, and that helped me, I think, having a stronger deck here, and I think a good matchup as well, since Chancellor Palpatine doesn't really come out with a body that can knock off units. And then into the final, I would face off against Luke Green, which was quite surprising to me that it went all the way to the final to begin with, because I don't have a necessarily high opinion of Luke Green, even though I think there is the General's Blade combo with the Alliance Dispatcher and all these cheating out resources stuff and having a resupply is actually pretty good. So it's a deck that is better than I thought and has definitely legs into some matchups. But in general, Luke has always been quite weak against Sabine. So I knew I was favored. If you're looking into the games, I was gonna say I totally threw the game one, but it was like by pinging first and only have a ground unit to play. But the reasoning behind it was that I was afraid that he was going to play an Alliance Dispatcher and shield it, so I wanted to have the ECL ready to just kill the Dispatcher on the play, because that really, if he plays that and I do that, my chances of winning is so high. But he played correctly and chose to go for Battlefield Marine, which was definitely helping him. So I went down 1-0 in the final. After that, I did not try to snipe the Dispatcher. I don't think he had it. I think he had it in game 3, but still chose to go Marine, which was maybe good for me, maybe not sure. It was game 2 became so close. I put him to 28 and played it for a cause and only hit 2, with only 4 cards in the deck that could miss, which was really scary. Game 3 became a little bit more like how the matchup is supposed to go. I won fairly easily. I didn't even get to use the EZL because I drew pretty bad, but still managed to end him because of a help of a for a cause. But he played really well. I think the deck is pretty good. I think obviously this one you can also make changes. I'm not sure how good Luminara is, but if he had Ewinged and found a Luminara, she would have healed 5 in that end of last game 3, which would have been pretty sick. It runs a little bit low on removals, which I knew because this was open deck list. I knew we didn't have takedowns, not even in sideboard, so I could like buff with Wing Leader. I could just flip Sabine if I wanted, and not be afraid. I think my Darksaber could have been really good in this matchup at some points, but I didn't see it, and he did draw some pretty good Village Protectors that he double shielded, which is quite annoying. So I'm quite glad I could go space a lot. So yeah, good opponent, and based on the run, if you look Luke Green, I was favored in. I think Chancellor Palpatine, I think here I am favored. Here I'm really favored. Here it's more of a toss-up, I would say. Some people would say Sabine Yellow is favored. I think EZL should be favored, but I could be wrong there. But overall, I would say that it was quite a lucky run in matchups, and at least I managed to win when I should. I think that is the takeaway here. Really happy to won this one. It is not easy to win this league. It's a lot of high quality players just in the even in the Swiss stage and in the knockouts, and you need to be really lucky as well with the runs and make a good deck choice. And I think I might have been the only Sabine ECL this season. I think that was correct because this was just before Django Red became popular or talked about that much. So it wasn't, I don't think it was a single Django Red in here. So I think it was Sabine ECL was the best choice, but I understand that a few people also took some new decks because they thought it was fun, and that is respectable as well. So back to the Sabine list, like changes I would have made after. It's quite hard. I think Medal Ceremony is a good card that you can play around a bit more. I could see myself adding more of those. I know a lot of the good players in the US that play a lot of Sabine really likes it, and even Victor here on the podcast always says slams 3. Heroic Resolve, I'm not using that a lot at all, so that is one that could be a Medal Ceremony. I do think Yularen is good in the mirror, but I didn't really play a lot of mirrors, so the judge is still out on that one. Unurso, in my opinion, is pretty good. It is a 3-2, like Ketsu Onyu, but it's Rebel, so I think it's a slight upgrade, even though it's not Saboteur right away, which I would have liked. Then she would have been really good. Now it's just like another 3 power drop, which is kind of important, so you don't get out traded in the beginning. So that's why I still run 3 over her and not 3 Alliance X-Wings. Could swap it out because space is a really nice place to go, but I think that is the dealer's choice. I know a lot of people are off the Darksaber. I would not go off the Darksaber just because of Django. I think you, especially not if you live in Europe, like if you see the Birmingham tournament, I think it was roughly 10% only of the meta that was Django, not much more. I think you just don't play the Darksaber in that matchup if you don't see the angle, and then you just sideboard it out in game 2-3, because Darksaber wins you game so many times against so many other decks. It's crazy. And so yeah, I would not move out of them. I'm still on 2. I was never on 3. Maybe I should have been on 3 at the point. Maybe I thought I might would add a 3rd in the sideboard here. Actually, this sideboard was not really well thought through. But I did like the Ayla Secura. She gave a lot, in my opinion. Her ECLs can be pretty nasty, going out, killing something and just standing. It's too bad that she's 5 HP, because you can go out and do a nice trade and still get taken down by takedown, which is a little bit annoying. But other than that, she's really good. And I'm not sure if she still remains 2 or if she's going to be 1. That will be discovered in more testing. But since I've only played this deck, Sabine, when I've been playing Sabine, because I don't want to... I didn't want to like get stuck in some thoughts about matchups that wasn't correct, because I played with a new list. So yeah, this was the list. It was a fun tournament. The top cut of season 9 is soon coming. I will be in that as well, since I did do 7-1 in the Swiss. So we'll see what I bring there. Maybe I'll take something new, or I will refine this Sabine and go back with it again. I've been playing Sabine in a few of the top cuts, and I'm glad to finally have won with it. Let's say that. So thank everyone for watching this video. If anyone has any questions about this this deck, or like the tournament in general, or anything, just put it in the comment section, or join in on the Discord and like and chat with me there, or anyone else in the Nordic Takedown Discord, of course. And if you like this, just put the like and subscribe button, of course. And may the force be with you.